Well, similar talk about the U.S. fostering regime change has appeared after the State Department announced its new programs aimed at spreading democracy around the world. It's going to provide finance and technology to opposition groups, but it only appears to apply to those countries which the U.S. would like to see the leadership toppled. RT's Ganesh Shikan has more.
The U.S. State Department now generously hands out cash and technology to dissidents throughout the world. Its Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights and Labor has announced the request for proposals on how to foster change in a number of countries in the Middle East and North Africa, as well as Cuba. The U.S. claims the best of intentions, saying it wants to strengthen independent civil society groups in those countries.
It's just really another form of provoking regime change. They're just trying to do it under a different guise, under a different facade, saying that somehow, with the best of intentions, they're promoting democracy. But in reality, it's just promoting U.S. agenda.
Among other things, the State Department is financing the creation of stealth wireless networks that would enable activists to communicate outside the reach of governments in countries like Iran, Syria and Libya, according to participants in the project. Other programs include a so-called Internet in a suitcase, a powerful portable wireless transmitter that activists can use to set up their own networks in order to circumvent state control. But at the same time, American companies provide authorities in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia and Kuwait with the technology to effectively block websites.
Those double standards do in fact exist, and everybody should be, fully aware of those things and understand that that's an integral part of U.S. foreign policy. The United States government in fostering regime change, that's what essentially color revolutions are. And they have a geopolitical motive. The geopolitical motive, is different for every country that they work in.
Technology is not all the U.S. provides to instigate change in certain countries. Some opposition movements get a direct cash supply. For example, WikiLeaks cables show that the State Department has for years secretly funded Syrian anti-government groups.
It's done in general to create a world that is more aligned, more specifically, more controllably aligned with the views of the United States, without having to land troops, without having to invade, bomb.
I'm now looking at the State Department website that promotes grants for those willing to bring about change in communist Cuba. And here's one of the requirements. I'm going to read this. It is preferable for these personnel to speak Spanish fluently, possess solid understanding of the cultural context, and have prior experience on the island in order to maximize their effectiveness in this unique operating environment. End of quote. Sounds very much like recruiting agents, but instead of doing it the traditional secretive way, the U.S. does that right out in the open on their website.
Help most often comes with strings attached. Many say opposition leaders in Libya, who now get financial and political support from Washington, are sure to get instructions on how to return the favor.
Essentially, their behaviors end up being consistent with agents of the U.S. government, even if they don't necessarily think that that's what they're doing.
Ganesh Chakan, RT, Washington, D.C.